And welcome to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. Today, this episode is a special treat for me. I have my friend Danielle joining us. We've been trying to lock this date down. It's finally here. Danielle, thank you for being here.
Hey Dawn, thanks, and I'm glad to be on your show and a part of your new adventure.
Woohoo! Yes, so Danielle and I used to work together and at a hospital when I was a histotech on a bench. And I remember I met her right before I got pregnant. And so that was my second child. And she was single, ready to mingle, and had no interest in having kids. And so I used to go in there telling her my horror stories about pregnancies and kids.
Right, and I had just, in all fairness, I had just gotten my first job, so I was like
Yes.
nowhere near ready for that stage.
Right? Yes. No, and I knew that, but she still had no interest. She had her
No, I had
Frenchies, right?
my two dogs that were my life. So
Yeah, so every morning I would go in and I would unload and she's just like, "Yeah, I have no interest." Or even when I had funny things, it was just funny. So she was
I
like,
did
"Nope."
not like kids. I didn't want kids. Like nothing against kids. I hate those people who now are like, "Oh, kids are terrible," because they're just sweet and innocent, you know?
Yes. Yes. So, you guys, I bring this up. I'm just diving in because I'm excited to have this conversation with her because she now has two kids. And
Right.
I'm like,
And
I
and
need to
they're
know.
and they're the center of everything, you know. I
Yes, you
mean,
guys.
as well everyone that has a kid, but
Yeah.
but
But yeah, no, like if you just, it would make more sense if you knew them
yeah.
to have, like, really for them to be the center. Like, you just, yes,
But if you look at how I treated the dogs, like the
yes,
dogs went on vacations with us, they had strollers, they went everywhere. They were like the most pampered pooches.
yes,
And it's like if a person like is empathetic and they will treat their dogs like that, they're going to treat their kids like that. It's not like
yes,
you're a dog person or a kid person. You're a person who is caring and giving and loving, and that's just going to translate. So it's not like a shock that the kids became so like pampered kids, you know,
yeah.
because that's just how you treat other people, you know.
That's a very good point. I just feel, in all honesty, parenthood's not for everybody, right? So it comes more
Yeah.
natural to
Yeah.
others. So I'm just a curious person. So the curiosity
Uh-huh.
was there, like,
Uh-huh.
ooh, because dogs don't talk back, and yes, they can give you a hard time,
Right.
like, but no,
Right.
it was just more because I remember when your husband, when it was so funny, we were talking about my daughter because she challenged me, and I remember him asking my opinion on the situation, and I said, honestly, I really feel you're wired a certain way before you come into this world. So what I'm seeing in her, I feel that that's just the way she is. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
something that
Mm-hmm.
I created in a sense, or not that he implied that, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, and he's like, really? I said, yes. Like, and so what was so funny to me is her and her husband are very soft spoken and, very
Yes.
easygoing. And I was so surprised to hear your daughter is very vocal.
They both. My
Oh,
son is a
okay.
performer.
Oh,
I call him a little politician because he talks to everyone. I would never even I'm the kind of person that doesn't speak to people when I'm out, you know? It's just
yes,
not my nature.
yes,
And I think my husband was afraid of like everything he does is going to shape this child's personality and everything.
yes.
But I think as a parent, you don't have to be as worried about that because
No,
they're going to be who they're going to be.
yes. Yes. And so on that note, because I do feel that to Lawrence, to your husband's note,
Hmm.
um, your environment does shape or have an impact, right?
Hmm.
Nature versus nurture, right? Like so.
Hmm.
But what I would like to go down is that you guys travel a lot, so your kids have seen a lot, right? So
Yeah.
I wanted to have your take on that.
Well, it's just like our hobby. And so some people put money into a car or to this. We
Yes.
just put all of our extra money into like traveling, and we always take the kids. Everyone's like,
Yes.
"Oh, you're traveling. Are you taking the kids?" I was like, "Of course I'm taking the kids. Like that's most of the reason why we're traveling." And so we have different expectations. We want to go and like experience a new place, but we don't have to like see all the highlights. We don't have
Right.
to do stuff constantly to get the most out of it. And I think that's what makes it more fun for the kids. We do a lot of kid oriented stuff,
Hmm.
but the kids just are exposed to so many different cultures and different people and
Yes.
different food, and they just roll with it at that age, and it's normal to them for people to have differences, and I
Hmm.
think it's so good for them at that young age to just be exposed to that stuff.
So I am curious. So your kids do like it.
They like it. They mostly like the airports and the hotels. Like
That's
we'll
cute.
see, we went to like Niagara Falls last week. They could care less about Niagara Falls. I was like, look at this, is amazing.
Right.
But they were like into like the airport. They just love running around the airport. So it's like you see the world through their eyes, which they find joy in the moment wherever
Yeah,
they
I love
are,
that. I love that.
rather than you having to be like, I've got to go to this fantastic place. We could go in America or we could go somewhere exotic. They're going to have the same amount of fun.
So I'm curious because we did, of course, in the United States, we did travels with the kids when they were younger. Believe it or not, it's easier because of the school thing, you know.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when we would come back, you know, the kids would say random things, and it's like things you don't expect them to pick up on or notice. So I
Hmm.
am curious because I have seen you've gone to many different countries and cities or states or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So has any of that like have they like come home and talked about anything that they've seen or
Yeah, because some people are like, oh, they're so young, they're not even going to remember all the places you took them to. But we have a lot of pictures, and we have them where they like scroll through the TV and stuff, and so
Mhm.
they're always seeing that and reinforcing it and saying,
Nice.
oh, where was that? I remember that. And then they'll say, my son, he'll see something on TV, and he'll be like, where's that? Are we going there? Like, or like,
Oh.
when are we going to go there? I want to go there. And so, and then they will remember like things that they did
Mhm.
at that time and stuff. And another reason I think I started the traveling was because I did I worked as a volunteer in Africa when I was in my 20s for like
Wow.
3 months. And
Wow.
I was in a very rural village for 3 months with we had some books, we had no TV, we had no computers. And it was kind of like you just worked it, your volunteer, and then you had a lot of downtime
Hmm.
and nothing to do.
I
And
didn't know
so
that.
and then I'm like, so then you're just like alone with your thoughts, right?
Right.
And so what do you remember? What do you think about? You think about the people you've met and your friends, and you think about like places you've been, but you don't think about like, oh, I had this car, or I had this material
Right.
possession. That doesn't matter anymore. And nobody
Mm-mm.
else has that stuff.
Mm-mm.
So I feel like I was like, at that point, I want to be like, I want to make a lot of friends, and I want to go a lot of places and have a lot of experiences, because that's what I want to remember about my life.
Yep.
And those are the things that you do remember. And I can remember, if I didn't travel anywhere, I would not remember very well, like what my kid was like at age 3 or age 5. But I'm like, oh, we went to this place, and my son was 3, and we did this, and he said this. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you have those cemented memories just because it's such a different experience.
Wow. So they have always been positive then?
Well, sometimes I feel like, okay, here's another big issue I have. It's really important, I think, for me to teach my kids to have a positive look on their
Right.
experiences versus having a negative look,
I
because
love
there's
that.
two kinds of people in the world. If an incident happens, like I'll take my father-in-law for example. He was a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would let that experience color the rest of their life
Right.
and just dwell on it and be negative, and he's the kind of person that's just a positive person, and he talks about it, but it's not like he doesn't like make it a big issue. He put it past him, he started over, and
Love
he's
it.
a very happy, positive,
Mm-hmm.
uh, joyful person. And if you can teach your kid to be like that, it's going to help them in their
I
life.
love that. I do
and
agree. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, well, I was just saying, if something quote unquote bad happens on a trip, then I mean, you don't, it like, of course, we've had flight delays, we've had to stay an extra night, stay in the airport. But like I said, the kids don't care. They're having
Mm-hmm.
fun. So you just make it a new adventure. And I
Mm-hmm.
think if you're like that, you're not afraid to travel because no matter what it throws at you, you're just going to accept it and make the best of it. Whereas some people
Yeah.
that ruins their whole trip.
Yes, I really love that because I do believe life is about making moments. And I feel that that's what you're doing, memories, right? So you're very much teaching your kids to be present in the moment, right? And having that
Hmm.
positive outlook. I can't wait for 10 years from now. I mean, just to see how this shapes them, but I
Yeah.
do believe that. And it's something that, and I've always taught my daughter, it's like, you know, you can, and I say my daughter because she's a little older and we go deeper more than with my son. He's 12, he's barely getting into that and telling me his feelings and stuff, but she has always been vocal, so we've had these conversations. But I'd always tell her, yeah, you can look at it that way and you can feel what you feel, but if you choose this approach or look at it this way, then it does, you don't give it power, you don't give that control over you, like. So I love that your kids are learning that through experience and not by words, right? Like, so my daughter just
Oh,
has what
right.
I say, right? So I feel you're giving that to them through experience, which I feel through experience is going to be rooted in them.
Right. But I mean, it's also like through your actions. Like if
True.
they see how you react to everything and they know it, they know so
Oh,
much
yes.
more than you think they do.
Oh, do I know that? Yes, yes. I do know that. Um, because it's funny because I do put on this because I feel this tough exterior, right? And I don't and I haven't
Hmm.
I know you I haven't told you this story, but when I turned 40, unfortunately that was the COVID year, so I didn't get to celebrate. So
Oh,
to me,
that's
I'd never.
huge for you.
Yes, it is. And you know that, right? So for me, I felt like I never turned 40, by the way. So I'm literally a year behind in my mind, by the way, going forward. But because I never turned 40 because I didn't celebrate. But anyways, I'm sitting at the table. We had a dinner, and my daughter's always been this way, but my dad passed away when she was 4 months. So she only met him as a baby. She don't know, right? But she's always had this connection, or like she was always drawn to just my family because they don't live with me. Like they all my immediate family lives everywhere else. So there's just pictures everywhere. So at a year and a half, she's like, I miss my family. I'm like, you don't even know them. She's like, no, I miss them. And she was just that way. So she's always felt a connection to my dad. And it was always interesting to me, like, where did that come from? But so she'll tell me about dreams. And this has been going on all these, years that she's been living. And on my 40th birthday, she said, oh my God, how did I forget to tell you? I had a dream about your dad. I'm like, oh yeah? I'm like, okay. And she says, it was in the house in Sacramento when we lived in Sacramento. So 4 years ago, we're where we are now. And Valencia.
Hmm.
She says, it was the house in Valencia. And he asked me about the boy. He calls Evan the boy, the baby boy or whatever. So she says, he asked about Evan. He asked about this. What she's telling me the conversation. And then she says that he told her, you need to, did he say, I think he said, you need to take care of your mom or something. Right. And she's like, he says, she likes to act tough, but she's a crybaby. I instantly, like, tears run down my face. I'm like, okay, stop. I was like, stop. I don't want to hear anymore because there's no way she knows that because I really am and I really was as a kid. And so it's like,
Wow.
how do you know that? Like,
Wow.
how did, like, and either she's very observant and she knows this, what to say, but she's always had these dreams and she'll tell me things I said and I'm like, oh my
Mm,
God.
mm,
So it is true, they are very observant and they know, right? So she would always point out, like, why, I am the tougher one. Like, I feel like I'm more the rigid, structured, because that's how I grew up, and I feel that that's what I just need it. It's just the way I function. So she does see that, her dad is more passive and the playful one, and I'm more
mhm,
serious and I need things
mhm,
this way, and I'm more,
mhm.
rigid.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. You just took me down memory lane for a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. Well, moms a lot of times are the more, they have to get stuff done. So.
Yes, yes, yes. So I did want to ask a question, but I did forget it.
I
Was
just
it was
want to, while you're looking for a
yes,
question, I think what strikes me about you is you really do, you're one of the best people I know that tries to cultivate your friendships
yes.
and keep in contact, and it's very difficult. And also, how we became friends was, I think you just like reached out, but you can find friends many different ways. Maybe you have a shared experience, you have similar goals, you're similar ages. That's a whole nother discussion.
Hmm.
But I think that you see the person for like who they are and not what they are.
Oh,
And
yes.
and you reached out and you just were, I have never had, I mean, I've rarely had somebody do that. And then those people
Mm,
tend to keep in contact, and I feel like I appreciate that. That's a great
mhm.
quality to establish friendships, because if you, even at work, if you're not friends with people, it's not going to be fun, you know?
Right.
People underestimate how much enjoyment that can bring to your life, you know?
Oh, thank you. I want to say that that contributes to the middle child syndrome.
Oh, really?
I always bring it back to that because I feel the middle child. Thank God you only have two. I feel some they get neglected, right? So that's our middle child syndrome, right? Like,
Mm.
so I there's five of us, five, five, girl, boy,
Mm-hmm.
girl. So I'm the
Mm-hmm.
middle, so I'm the third, as well as the
Mm-hmm.
middle girl. Okay, so
Oh.
um, it's funny because who I am today is not who I was when I was a kid. I was much more quiet and to myself, and so what I do is I like for people to be seen. So I love that that you notice that about me, and I feel that that's the middle child in me. That like everyone is, has a voice. Everyone is seen, like and I do like to see people for who they are. And so I just
Mm-hmm.
love that you notice that about me. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really important, even if you've had friends. It's funny too, like when I talk to you, it's almost like when we were talking 10 years ago.
Yes.
Cause it just like time passes, but the relationship is still the same, you know?
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, I know. So, have you made friends traveling? Like, is there, or do you keep in touch with any of them? I mean, are you more outward
That's
now
a
or no?
good, well, that's a good question. I feel like it's just kind of like we move around a lot, and then yeah, we haven't like sometimes if we'll be in like a hotel for a while, we did make friends with some people, and we like, but we've never like kept in contact and stuff. So no, that's not like, we haven't like made a lot of friends on traveling, which maybe the kids will. I would love to hook the kids up with like pen pals and stuff like that,
Yes,
you know.
Evie started that one time and then it
Uh-huh.
didn't last. But yeah, it was it, and
Mm-hmm.
we loved that, by the way. It was fun. We did it like
Yeah.
once or twice or something. But
Oh.
so I'm curious. So outside of the traveling and what that does for your kids, like day to day when you are home, what is like, I'm being very nosy because you
Mm-hmm.
know that about me. Like what is that like day to day? Like, because I know you
Um,
also go to a lot of kids parties. So I mean, you're social at home too,
right.
or
Right. Like we try to do a lot of play dates with the kids, and then they do a lot of we do some activities. We don't do a lot of lessons per se, because I've just
mm,
tried and
mhm.
they weren't
Yeah,
interested. So I
yeah.
let them drive it.
I love
Um,
that. Yeah.
and also like I feel like it just takes away from like family time a lot. And then my mom watches them after school, so like they've got a great relationship with my mom and sister,
I love
and
that.
it's wonderful for them to have each other,
Yeah.
because it's just such a special bond for them. And my sister doesn't have kids, and they're like her, we call her second mom because they're like her kids, you
Oh.
know.
So is your
So
sister here? She's
yeah,
not.
my mom and sister
Oh,
both live in town now.
nice. I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
that. We need to
yeah.
link up.
I know. Oh, I know. You haven't met her, right?
No, yes,
You've met
I
her, right?
have. Oh
Okay,
yeah, no,
okay. Yeah,
your
yeah.
mom and your sister. Oh
Right.
yeah,
Oh, right. You came to the house
yeah.
before.
When was last time I saw your sister is when she had that long distance relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
years
that was years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. Um, so you were saying something I was going to ask. So, dang it, what was that? I'm sure your kids are good students, or
Yeah,
what do
oh
you?
yeah.
I
I
assume.
feel like they're good. It's hard at this age because it's like the homework's boring.
Oh my
They
god.
kind of have a mind of their own that like they if you give them something challenging, they'll do it and they'll be interested and excited about it. And if it's something that they already know or is mundane, they don't have an interest in it. And I feel like
Mm.
my daughter thinks very much outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
She's gifted and she thinks outside the box. And like for me as a child, I was a rule follower. And I was like, if you tell me to go from point A to point B and jump through these hoops, then that's what I'm going to do. I was a people pleaser. My daughter is not
Ah,
that at all.
I love
And
that.
I think she has the freedom to be herself and to not feel pressured to conform to all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to squelch that because the school system kind of forces a round peg into a square hole. And
Yes.
if you think outside the box, I feel like you need to be able to flourish that in your own way.
It's
So
so
it's,
interesting. Yes, that you say that because being in Valencia, it's in all honesty, like it's a different culture, and so it is very driven like school like in the valley you'll have like fast food on every corner. Here you have like tutors, little schools, like
oh,
they very much push, the activities and the learning, and so it was so funny. My daughter's friends, like that, they would freak out like if they weren't getting good grades, and they're like, does your mom not care? She's like, no, my mom cares. She just cares that I put effort and that I try, and if this is what comes out of it, then and so I'm sometimes think, God, am I too passive?
that's
you know?
exactly how I feel because there's so many helicopter parents
Yes.
and they make you feel guilty, but I'm like, it's got to be driven by your kid. It
Yeah.
can't be driven by you, you
No.
know?
I do believe that I do. And it's funny because then my daughter will always wants to point out how different I am with her and her brother. But I was like, you're two different people.
Hmm.
Like I
So
can't
how
treat
are
you the
they
same.
different? So how are they different?
Oh God, in so many ways. So like I said, Evie's always been very vocal. And so, I mean, she's been talking. She's very expressive. She's like you. She listens. Like if I can just say it once, do you know what I mean? Like, and
Hmm.
she just
Hmm.
has that. And I kind of feel she won't admit it, but I do think she's a bit of a people pleaser. And I'm
Hmm.
not. So,
Hmm.
Evan, he just goes through like la 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 la, like he just doesn't care. Nothing phases him. Everything phases her. Everything bothers her, and
Oh,
he's so
uh-huh.
like, what? When? Like it's just so funny to see that. So he hasn't been vocal, and he talked later. And he didn't talk
Hmm.
much, but later on he did. But he used to have a stutter, and so he
Hmm.
doesn't anymore. But I remember when he was younger, he gets so frustrated because you could see that he wants to say something, but it wouldn't come out. And I didn't realize at the time. I think he actually had a speech impairment.
Oh.
So now he has that. In school he has speech once a week or
Hmm.
whatever they do, and he's gotten better. So now I'm dealing with him being vocal and saying things, and it's like, you did not just say that, boy, right? And then Evie gets mad, like, you're gonna let him get away with that, and I'm like, girl, chill. Like now he has to learn what he can and cannot say. Like
Oh, right.
so I have
Uh-huh.
to share this. This is hilarious. Okay, so I went to a last minute birthday party 2 weeks ago, a week ago, whenever it was, right? And it was for a friend's little girl that has everything. I'm like, what do you give someone that has everything? I like to give experiences. I like them to be meaningful, whatever, right? So I'm literally hopping from store to store, like, no, 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 no. So, anyways, we ended up at TJ Maxx because they have a variety of stuff there.
Hmm.
So we go there, and I found such cute things that I just know the little girl's gonna love, right? And so I was like, oh my God, I need to come back to the store. I don't come here enough. So Evan was with me, and he's just like, oh, mom, get over yourself. So that's another thing. Now he's embarrassed of me, and Evie's not. It's so funny. So they're just so different. Yeah. So then I'm like, oh my God. So just not even really meaning it because I have no filter, but I just say what's on my mind. I was like, ooh, I think I should come work here and get a discount. I wouldn't do that, but I just said it, right? Like,
Hmm.
oh my God.
Hmm.
I'm like, imagine me working here. Anyways. So he goes, what? You would leave your job to work here where they probably pay like $10 an hour? And I was like, no, honey, I would not leave my job. Okay. I said, but you know, if I wanted to on my downtime, I could come work here and get a discount, you know? And he's all like, oh, so then you're going to work two jobs. And then when I tell people that you work two jobs, they're going to say, why? Because you're poor. I was like, what? First
Wow.
of all, I can do what I want in my time, first of all. Second of all, what are you doing with telling people? You know, like, why do you feel the need to tell people?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then he says, so we're going back and forth. And again, because I want to see where his mind is. So I'm just going with the conversation. And then he's like, you know, mom, I'm sorry, like to say this, but I think you're kind of like a middle-aged woman.
Oh my God.
And he says, like, I don't know how that would look for a middle-aged woman to like work here, right? So I said, first of all, I am not. And I'm like, wait, maybe I am. I go, Google that. I was like, what is middle age? What the heck? Because I'm like, oh crap, I am 44. And I was like, this little boy, with the audacity. So it's
Uh-huh.
things like that. He'll say that
Uh-huh.
Evie's like, you're going to let him get away with that? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, he has a point about my age, not middle-aged women working there,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I was like, I can't believe you just said that. So we looked it up, by the way. Middle age
Yeah,
is
yeah.
35. Yes,
35? That's too
35 to
young.
44, 45, or something like that. Yes. So
Wait,
yes,
so
I
then
am.
old age is 45?
So then I said, well, God, I hate to know what 45 is because that's next
Yeah,
year for me.
yeah.
Because I was like, oh my God, 44. I'm 44 now. So what's for? I go, don't Google that. I do not want to know. I was like, oh, I'm middle age. Oh my God.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? You're only as old as you feel. And I do not feel I am middle age. Okay.
No, oh my
Isn't that
gosh.
hilarious?
Uh,
I mean, that's
yeah,
that's what I deal with him. Like he'll
yeah,
say things like that, and I'm like,
yeah,
what? So it's cute to see him like come out of
yeah,
his shell and
yeah.
to like. So
But
now he's testing the waters.
the older one is constantly watching how you treat the younger one because it's got to
Always,
be the same, you know?
always. Do you deal with that? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
that's a thing. Yeah. See, so my theory or my thing is, the oldest needs validation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because usually when they first come, there is a bit of time that they're alone, right?
Mm,
Unless people have
right,
them back to back,
right.
right? But so that first one gets all the attention. It's all about them, right?
Yeah.
So then when that second one comes, they're like, wait, I got to share my time, my parents, you know? So then it's like, then they got to feel validated. Like, hey, remember, like I was the center, like I
Right,
was, you know what I mean?
right.
So I feel the oldest has that. Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. Yeah.
Ooh, but you're a
And
people
I
pleaser.
I can remember though that like my mom treated us both equally. So when my sister was younger, 4 years younger almost, she got the same things opportunities as I did. And my dad would always say, she's older, she should be able to do this.
Yes.
And my mom was like, they both deserve, younger kids can do it too. So now,
Ah.
my daughter, like for example, we were on a trip last week and my son, he always goes to the gift shop and he gets three things. My daughter, she doesn't want anything. She's like, no, mommy, I don't need it. My son wants everything
Oh.
in the store. Like,
Yep.
that's all he wants to do is shop. So he'll get his
Oh.
three things, and his third thing he picked out was a pocket knife with his name on it. And it was like a little pocket knife that had little knives on it and stuff. So my daughter didn't even come in the store, right? So I'm like, I'm a pushover. So I'm like, okay, fine, get it. Because it had his name on it. It was cool, right? And
Yes.
he's gonna forget
Yes.
about it. He's not gonna use
Yes.
it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we come out of the store, and my daughter's like, Mom, you got him a pocket knife? She goes, that's bad parenting. He's 6. He cannot have a pocket knife. And she goes, Mom, she's like, I don't have one of those, and I'm older. And I go, okay, let's go get you one. She goes, no, that's not the point. The point is,
Oh,
I should have it first
oh,
before he has it. She
yes.
goes, that's the point. And I was like, oh Lord, she takes me to task on everything.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's what yes, I deal with that because
Uh-huh.
it was so funny. I just dealt with that with green light. Green light is that little debit card for the kids.
Oh,
And
uh-huh.
so Evie has been bugging, but she hasn't she's just not, in my eyes, she has not been responsible enough. Like she loses
Mm-hmm.
things like it's
Mm-hmm.
funny, like she has her strengths and she's good with certain things, but she's not going to see her flaws. That's fine. So I just haven't done it. I just haven't gotten around to the bank to open an account, whatever. So then Evan, with all his little preppy friends and stuff, and he's all like, "You need to get me green light," blah, blah, blah. And he kept pushing and nagging, pushing and nagging. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "Well, it. I just got to download the app." And so Evan did everything,
Mm-hmm.
even got
Mm-hmm.
the damn card. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna put money on it, right? So I'm like, "You do what you want to do, boy." Like, so then he got the debit card before her, and she is pissed.
Wow. Oh.
So I
Uh-huh.
was like, girl, it was a free download. Like, download it yourself. Like, that doesn't mean I'm putting money in it. Like, oh my
Yes.
goodness, you know? So that, but what she doesn't realize is she has an iPhone. I hate iPhones. I shouldn't say that, but I do. I like
Mm-hmm.
an Android. So on her phone, she has my debit card. So I was like, excuse you, you
Oh.
have access your dad doesn't even have access to. Like, you're over here wanting to compare, but you have my debit card on your phone. Like, you have access. Like, what
Yeah.
is your problem?
Yeah.
Don't compare. Like, I would never give Evan access to my account. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I do trust that I told you she listens, you know what I mean? So like, I
Mm-hmm.
know if I say no or whatever, like she'll listen to me, you know? So she doesn't see what I gave her. You see them, but then she'll say,
Right.
"Oh, well, he
Right.
got the card first." And I'm like, "Good Lord. Like, really, Evie? Like,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit, but I will, but it's like, I'm not going to explain everything to you. And I don't have to. I'll answer your questions, but I don't have to answer to you. There's a difference.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's
That's a
me.
good
That's how
point.
like I handle
That's a
things. It's
good
like, excuse
point.
me. Yes, I'll answer your questions, but honey, I do not answer to you. Okay. So, oh my, wait. So how old is Elm right now?
So she is 8.5 and Cole is 6.
Oh my
So they
God.
get along really well. They play together a lot. But
Yeah, I
she
think that's a good gap.
Yeah. So and then I feel like they're both hyperverbal, so I think that's a good thing too because he can like talk a lot and then all of her friends think he's adorable and pick him up and carry him around
Oh,
and
oh
stuff.
my
It's so
gosh.
cute. He
He is
said
so
one of her
cute.
friends was his girlfriend because she hugs him all the time.
Uh-huh. Oh
So
my
he's
God.
got he's got a big ego because all these little girls are like fawning over him all the time. So,
Oh my God, how cute.
but
So when Evan was in kinder, I had to sit him down and I did before he went to kinder, okay? But I had to sit him down because he was always a hugger. Evan loves till today,
no.
loves to hug and kiss, okay? And
Oh.
girl, he would go around hugging and kissing on the girls. And I would always say, Evan, you got to ask, like, so,
Oh.
and I've always told Evan, like, no is no. You have to ask, you know what I mean? So, um, I got a complaint one day and I was like, good Lord. And, he does ask, by the way, like he was,
Uh-huh.
but I guess the girl was like, stop, like, you know what I mean? Like she just didn't.
Oh.
So it was so funny. So, the teacher's like he does ask, like he's respectful, but like, but it was just
Oh.
so funny that I was like, oh my God, I'm like, Evan, please, you have to ask, you have to respect, you got to give space. No is no. Like, oh my God. But yeah, with Evan,
Well,
I
you had
had
to
to
do that in kindergarten.
kindergarten girl. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so
So
cute.
now it's funny because no, he's shy now. Now, like it was so
Oh.
cute. I dropped him off at the mall when they were on spring break with him and a friend, and they called it a two-man. I don't even know what that means, but they were going on a double date in their mind. So I drop
Uh-huh.
him off at the mall, and he's telling his friend, "Yeah, you need to help me." And the guy's like, "Yeah, I got you. I got you. Help you with what?" And he's like, "I need to talk to the girl." And I was like, "Oh, Evan, you're asking him and not me?" And he's all like, "Yeah, mom." And I was like, "Evan, girls like to talk. You just gotta listen, okay?" He's like, "What?" I go, "Just ask questions. Ask how's her
Uh-huh.
week going.
Uh-huh.
Ask how her spring break was. How is it going? Whatever. Ask her what she likes to do." Like I gave him like 10 different questions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Girl, he came back. He didn't ask one of them. They didn't talk.
Oh. He's got the
That was so
inside
funny.
scoop, man.
So it was so cute. So, well, Mhm,
It's funny how kids change like you said like now he's shy and I'm like
mhm,
I think it's just natural, but it's kind of sad because they go from being so free and
mhm,
just doing what they like to like
mhm.
then other people they notice other people are watching them and stuff like that. And then how
Yes.
you said that you used to be very shy and how did that transition go from you to being shy to like the person you are now?
No, it's not that I wasn't shy, but when I was younger, there's five of us, and then my dad was
Mhm.
very strict.
Mhm.
So and he was very much like the opposite of you and I, which is, you know, you're going to be what I say you're going to be, like you're going to do what I'm going to like. So it's a very controlled environment, right? So I was just to myself. I don't feel I was given
Oh,
that safe space to,
right. Okay.
right? So,
Right.
and you may know or may not know, but like when I was 16 and a half is when I like ran away and left my parents' house, right?
Mhm.
So, and I've been working since I was 12. I sold like candy door to door, and I made some good money because I'm persistent. I would not leave that door unless they bought something, okay? So I made good money doing that. And then when I was able to work, I worked Burger King was like my first job. So I've always worked, always had a job, right? So um I think that once I got from under that thumb, I was
Oh,
like,
that
this
makes
is
sense.
me. Do you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
and in other episodes, I do share that I, I, I don't know how to say this, but like, I feel it was just innately in me, if that makes sense, right? So I just remember waking up one day thinking, okay, I want more. This is not what I want for myself. Like, and if I don't do something or change something, then nothing's going to change. And I didn't want to be a statistic, so funny, of my environment, you know what I mean? And so I just remember just literally it was like a light bulb just waking up one day like, okay, you have to care, you have to love yourself, you have to do it. And so, and don't get me wrong, like my dad did instill a lot of good things in me, and I do credit a lot of those things to what I had experienced, and I wouldn't change anything because I love who I am, right? So um, I just remembered, it's so funny. I started talking to myself in the mirror, telling myself I loved myself. And I would not, like, I would walk by a mirror. Oh my God, you're so pretty. Like, I would never pass a mirror without saying that. I don't care who was around me, where I was. People were like, oh my God. I'm like, shh, my mirror likes me. Like, you better get used to that. Like, so it was just something that was innately in me. And so I remember thinking, oh my God, when I become a mom, like, I don't know if I can deal with a kid if they're not like me. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? Because
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I am very selfish and selfish, self-centered, all those things, and I love myself. And I was like, oh my God, like if my kid is not like that, I think that's gonna be hard for me.
Right. Yeah.
They're not, but it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's challenging, but I feel that I can recognize things, and then I feel like I know how to like deal with them. But I just
Mhm.
remember before becoming a mom, I was like, oh my God, if my daughter is not like confident
Mhm.
and like loves
Right.
herself, that's going to be hard.
Right.
So this is another episode, and I think you know what I'm talking about because when she was younger, she did challenge me on that in a sense,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I'm very much like love who you are, love, you can't change who you
Mhm.
are, what you
Right.
see, you know what I
Right.
mean, in that sense, right? So she did challenge me, and that's another that well that would
Mhm.
be a
Yeah.
separate
Yeah.
episode, but she did challenge me in that, and that was very, very hard. But I think because of the experience I had, I was able to like I can compartmentalize because of what I went through, and I feel that that was like my coping mechanism, right? Childhood to adult or
Mhm.
whatever. So I think that's a good trait for myself. So I was able to like remove that and just deal with it. So I think that's what helped me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that just went a little too deep. So, I always say, depending on the friend, it depends on the conversation, right? And so Danielle and I have always talked, like she said, I love that she's right. We always pick up wherever we left off. And
Uh-huh.
and in the beginning, it was always about me being a mom and her like, hell no, and I would tell her
Right.
my horror stories and all these funny stories with the kids or whatever. And yep, she's like, nope, I'm good. And when she became a mom, I was so excited. And I met Cole, but he was just so young. But I
Yeah.
haven't had
Yeah.
much interaction in the last 6 years
Mhm.
because I had moved away. Remember, so I came
Right.
back for your
Right.
baby shower. I think
That's right.
if you
Yeah.
remember, yeah, because remember
Uh-huh.
I had left, right? So I
Yeah.
did come back, and then I met him, and I went over a couple times, and that was
Yeah.
very nice. But
Yeah.
yes, but my breakaway tip, because I offer that at every
Mhm.
episode,
Mhm.
is I appreciate that you saw that in me, but I want to encourage people to nourish those things. Like I'm always, I love to push, nourish yourself, pour into yourself. But I do feel that if you do that to others, it comes back to you, right? So,
Right.
I think you just need to be the friend you want. you know? So like I've had multiple people, by the way, tell me that, but I didn't know they felt that way. They're like, you just randomly popped up and you were consistent and you stayed in
Mhm.
touch and, you know, and
Mhm.
it's like, I don't know. I don't like to take credit because it's naturally who I am. I can't help it.
Right. I mean, but it's like you feel bad if you don't, if you forget about it or you don't have the time, but it's like I can appreciate somebody who does make that, their
Yes.
priority, And
Right.
I wish I was more like that. So I'm gonna
It's
reach out to
okay.
all my other friends and
But oh, so I want to before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask, I was so curious. Okay, so you work, you have a demanding job as most of us do, right? So you work, you have your kids and they are the center. And I think cuz mine are a little older now, I'm going to be honest with you, they're not the center I am right now. That's where I'm at in my
uh-huh,
life, you know. I
uh-huh,
mean, I still do everything I do, but it's like it's now like
uh-huh,
what I want to do, right? But that's where I'm at. You're in a different journey. But I'm curious,
right.
with your job and then the kids, like, do you and Lawrence do date night? Like, do you hang out with friends? I mean, I know you said you're bad at it, but do you do any of that?
Um, like since my mom and sister are here, like Lawrence and I go out every rarely. And then I have some friends from residency that like usually we'll do like a girls trip every year.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
then
remember.
yeah, we're still kind of doing it. And then I have another group of friends from residency where we try to get all of our families together once a year.
Oh, that's nice.
So um I'm kind of like the motivator in those
Yes, yeah.
groups. There's got to be somebody,
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
but
I remember what was her name? The one that lived in Sacramento?
oh yeah, Anna. You know
Anna.
Anna.
Are
Uh-huh.
you still in
Yeah.
contact with Anna?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. And
And
then
she's
we
still in
have like a
Sacramento?
little text chain where we all text each other all the time. So,
Aw, is she still in Sacramento?
uh-huh. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. You know, I always thought I would go back, and I
hmm
haven't, but I need to because I really did enjoy my time there.
Yeah,
So
you meet a
I
lot of
need
nice
to.
people at work
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So,
Wow. Well, I met you at work and we continued our
yeah.
friendship. But it's funny, but I want to say as what you saw in me, can I just say, and I don't know how this sounds, but I always appreciate when people just receive me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because I know I'm not for everyone, you know? So I love when people see what I want them to see, you know,
Yes,
because
yes.
just because I think this and I feel that that doesn't mean you will, you know? So as much as you like, I want to thank you for receiving me and, you know, receiving me as a friend and all of my, energy. I don't know what else to call it, but because we're so opposites, and I know you know that, but we get along, and I love that, and I love your husband. Like I love having you guys around when we did, because you would come to a lot of my
Oh,
birthday
I know.
parties.
It was so fun. And we
Yeah.
got we got to meet so many of your friends and different
Yes.
people and stuff. And I
Yeah.
always say like the kids, you don't have to like every or agree with everything about your friend, but what
No.
you take is you take the good parts that you like,
Yes.
and that's why you're friends.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So,
Well, I do want to thank you for your time and sharing because I was really curious about your, you know, your parenthood, like how it's been going. So I appreciate you sharing that because I only see it through Facebook right now,
oh, I know. I
and
know
I
we have to
love
get
it. And they're
together.
just so adorable.
I know they're super cute.
Oh my God, they are so adorable. So please tell the hubby and your mom and sister that I said hi, and I really do hope to see them soon.
Okay, yeah, we have to get together. And thanks for
Yes.
having me on your show. And I'm
Yes.
enjoying listening, and you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. I try. So just keep pushing, keep shining, and keep thriving. Thank you.
Bye, thanks.